Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to modify the pattern for the Roxy bottoms to make some knotted bottoms. So before we get started, I do want to mention that some of you might know that Edgewater Avenue has a Facebook group that's meant to help just pretty much anybody learn how to sew swimwear. You don't have to own any of my patterns. You don't need to have any sort of experience, but a lot of people do find that being a part of this group is a good way to learn. So if you're interested, I'm gonna make sure to link that. But the whole reason I wanted to make this video is because a couple of the Facebook group members started posting this modification, and a member of the group, Lori, she ended up coming up with really great directions, so I just wanted to put that in video form and share with you. So thank you, Kyla and Lori, for coming up with this great idea. So to do this, I'm going to take the pattern for the Roxy bottoms. You can use the Ranger bottoms. You can use pretty much any pattern for bottoms that has thinner sides. And so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold the Roxy bottoms in half, and I'm gonna get some paper to trace them onto. So I'm using a highlighter just so you can see, but first I'm gonna start off by just tracing the exact shape. And then from there, I'll go ahead and do the modification. So once you've traced the half of the piece, you're going to take a ruler, and I'm gonna measure the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm just gonna draw a straight line 1/2 inch away from the original side. And then using my highlighter, I'm just gonna blend the lines. Now you're gonna wanna pay close attention to make sure that the width of the sides is the same. Now you might say that, instead of doing this modification, why don't you just go up a size? And you could do that, but the problem is that when the pattern is graded larger or smaller, it doesn't just get graded in the hip areas, it gets graded in other areas too. So this modification just isolates it, so just the sides are gonna be larger. So once you've done it with the back piece, you're just gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing with the front piece. So again, I'm just recycling 2 pieces of normal computer paper, taping it together. Then I'm gonna trace the original bottoms, and I'm going to add a 1/2 inch. So even though I'm adding a 1/2 inch just to one side, it actually ends up being a full inch for the whole front piece and a full inch for the whole back piece. So in total, we're adding 2 inches to the pattern. Off camera, I went ahead and cut my pieces out. I did 2 of the lining and 2 of the self. And then the rest of the tutorial, I'm just following the instructions for the Roxy bottoms. So I'm gonna sew the leg holes and the top for both the front and the back, attaching elastic as I sew. Once that's done, I'm gonna take my seam ripper, grab my back piece, and I'm gonna seam rip a hole that's gonna be about 1 inch wide. And we're gonna use this hole later on, so make sure that it's big enough so you can fit all of the bottoms through it. Then I'm gonna go over to my front piece, and I'm gonna take it out to the right side. Straighten it out, and then you're gonna tie 2 knots. Now these knots do not have to be perfect. You can go back and adjust them later, which is what I'm going to do anyways. However, it is really important to make sure that you're very careful with tying the knot so that the right side is facing up. And now, just like we would with the Roxy bottoms, we are going to insert the front piece inside of the back piece, and we're gonna line up each of the sides as well as the gusset, and then we're gonna sew across to secure everything down. Now with the knots, this does make this a little bit more difficult, but just take your time and really make sure that you're sewing it straight. And again, before you sew, make sure you double and triple check to make sure that nothing is twisted, because it takes a lot less time just to check than it does to have to seam rip and go back. So once everything is pinned down, you're gonna switch over to your sewing machine, and you're gonna secure down the gusset and each of the sides. So once that's all secured, you're gonna go through, find that 1-inch hole that we left early on, and you're gonna take the bottoms completely back to the right side. As always, finish off that hole either with an invisible stitch or with a top stitch, and that completes the bottoms. And like I said, you do have an opportunity to go back and adjust the knots. You can do that now and just kind of mess with it and straighten it out, or if you want, you can do it while you have them on. And here's how they turned out. These are the perfect bottoms to pair with the alley top. They both just have the cutest little knot details. It's such a simple modification and it's super, super easy. So if you're wanting to just spice up the Roxy bottoms or Ranger bottoms or just do something a little different, then this is a great way to do that. Again, thank you Kyla and Lori for showing this idea. If you guys want to join the Facebook group, that will be linked below. I'm also going to link the pattern for the Roxy bottoms. And as always, make sure you check out edgewateravenue.com as well as edgewaterave on Instagram. And I hope to see you in the next one.